Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426, and today we have the review of the newly released, or recently released, Robot Damashii Gundam GP01 Ver Anime. Now this figure has arrived recently, and now I know I've seen a lot of people receive this way earlier than me on Facebook. The main reason is that I ordered this not from an official Bandai website. It ordered from basically another random website that took pre-orders for this, which is why mine took maybe about 2 to 3 weeks extra to arrive. And yes, I have pre-ordered the GP02 as well, but that should be technically releasing this month. But I'll be maybe getting it maybe really late, maybe another 2 to 3 weeks later again. So keep that in mind. All right, so now this figure, I was really amazed, mind blown by the Gym Sniper 2 Ver Anime, the Gym Cold District type Ver Anime, the Prototype Gundam Ver Anime, and then the Alex Ver Anime. Those were really mind-blowing, but this one was even much more better. Now, the quality is obviously top-notch like the others, but this one, like the looks and the details, they went even more than usual, because now I'm going to post some pictures on Facebook later, but I basically took a picture with the NT1 Alex, and yeah, that one looks really plain compared to this one when you actually get to see it with them together. So yeah, anyway, so let's get on to the review on my new ways of doing figures. So first of all, we're going to go with components. So first of all, what you get, of course, is obviously the mobile suit, the Gundam GP01 itself, and then we get 2 beam saber hilts, which in the box comes in as a separate piece, so keep that in mind. Attached, and then for the hands, they are multi-purpose hands that are currently on the figure. Okay, so here's some components first of all. So let's see. Let's look at the hands first, because there's always a lot. So you get 5 hands in total, or 5 sets in total. So first of all, what you get, of course, is a fully open hand. The other one being a semi-open hand. Third set being a a trigger finger hand for the weapons. And then for some reason, I attached these ones upside down. But these hands, as far as I understand them, is basically if you want to hold the beam saber in a more angle, this is the hand that you use. So the multi-purpose hands are mostly for the shield and the beam saber hilts, but these are also used for the beam saber hilts as well. Shield doesn't work too well with these ones. I've done it before. Okay, so here we have some other stuff with the more equipment type. So first of all, what you get is a machine gun, the ballpump machine gun. This is the machine gun. Yeah, this is just the most basic weapon out there. And then yes, no, the ammo clip does not detach, but still we have a nice colored camera over there. And yeah, I wasn't really expecting to get this. I mean, granted, the GP01 did use this in the anime, but with the promo pictures, I wasn't really aware if they were actually going to give this. And then here we have the beam rifle. Nothing too special, but done really well. Nice purple color there. And then the front handle moves, and then you can actually take out the ammo pack if you want to do so, or ammo clip, or E-cap, or whatever they call these days. And then we get 2 more extra. So you can do a reloading pose. Or if you're not too happy with that, you can actually attach these to the shield, because there's actually these pegs, and then on the bottom of the cap there's a hole. So yeah, you can attach this, and there you go, you have them stored in the shield. And if you're wondering if these actually, now they may look like they might hinder the hand from holding the shield, but I've tested it and it works perfectly fine. Does not actually hinder it at all. And there goes one ammo pack. And then here we have a shield connector. This is the more typical ones that we usually get for the shield. So you can attach the ball joint to the shield, and then we can attach it to the arm. And then here we have another connector. We attach the ball joint, and then there's a square peg on the other side, meaning that we can actually attach the shield onto the back if you want to do so. Oops, sorry about that. And then there, regarding the beam rifle, now we have this piece, which is actually pretty neat when you think about it. So what you can do is, I believe it's this side. No, actually, what you can do is you can attach it like this. So even like this would not actually hinder the fact that even though you can attach this with this part onto the hand. So what you can do is that we have 2 pegs. One side we have this square peg going on here. So for the square peg, you can attach this to the shield like this. You can store the weapon into the shield if you want to do so. Actually, if you have 2, maybe, and then cut off the handle, maybe you can make it like a shield connected beam rifle if you want to do so. But yeah. And then on the other side we have this round peg, and this round peg is mostly meant to store it onto the back of the mobile suit. Now you can work on this. You can work it on this way, but this one I believe is more meant to be on this side. So yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, you can hold the weapon onto the backpack. So Bandai seems to be, with these Robot Damashii figures, one aspect they're really working on is weapon storage onto the mobile suit as well. I feel like every Robot Damashii we've seen, they try to do this as much as possible. Okay, and see, I think we've seen most of the important parts, and let's see what else we get. So here we have some extra parts, or not leftovers, but spare parts for the V-fin and the antenna that goes onto the head, because these parts are like the most fragile parts on this figure. Even in normal HD or master grade kits, the V-fin and these kind of antennas can break really easily. So it's really nice that they actually considered that and gave out spares. And then finally we have the effect parts. So these two are your typical thruster effect parts. You can either attach them to the backpack or onto the feet, so nothing too special regarding that, but you only get two, so keep that in mind. I think like most kits would give them 2 at maximum. Other than the Gym Ver anime, of course. If you want more thruster parts, definitely get the Gym Ver anime. And here we have the main finale, which I'll explain later after I'm done with doing the beam effect parts. Here we have this effect part. This is the beam bayonet effect part. I wasn't really aware that they actually had a name for this. So the way how this works is basically you attach this. Okay. There's a hole on the beam rifle. You attach it to the hole in front of it, essentially, and then just gotta make your way through and connect it with the front part. Now it mentions that you have to take it off and then reattach it, but I don't know. I personally just find it a little bit more easy just doing it as it's attached. Why am I having so trouble with this part? Okay, there we go. And then just need to make it go into that position. Just right in the middle. It works. There we go. There we go. It's not easy as you think, but at first it might be tricky, but once you get it, it's not that hard as well. So here we have. Of course, I think they could have done a little bit better job on the front part because it still looks a little bit awkward here, but still, that could be just me. And it works pretty well. Although I don't remember the GP01 itself just using this. The full burn version definitely used it, but then again, these are the same beam. It's the same beam rifle, so oh well. And I really do hope they do make or release the full burn, the FB version of it as into Ver anime as well. Of course, I mean it'd be better if they actually make an HD revive, but yeah. Okay, and here we have some beam effect parts, the beam saber effect parts, but oops, that was kind of. So we have 4 of these long ones, but 3 of them are for the beam saber. 1 is actually for the beam rifle. So here we have the first one, the bent version. They did a really good job in improving the looks on this thing, because back before they would just be the typical HD or master grade beam saber style, design was just a bent version. But this one they considered all these like small details going on. Really nice. Same goes for the normal beam saber effect part. They did an excellent job because up to this point, and the shape kind of also changed because if you look at the previous ones, which I will take out later, the shape is more of a roundish. It's roundish and more fatter than this one than you think. So yeah. And then here we have this one, which is essentially almost the same version, but a more larger version of the beam saber effect part. But this is actually meant for the beam rifle. So this is a shot effect part basically. What you can do is you can first, number 1, attach this part, like and make a firing scene, but that may look a little bit awkward to you, so this is where this one comes into effect. So what you can do is there's a small hole there, then you attach this, and then reattach it to the beam rifle, and there you go. You have a more natural looking firing effect part. That looks amazing. And if you want, technically you can still use this on to the beam saber if you want to do so. And then finally we have this part, which was like the most finale of this figure. Now, they actually did show you guys this effect part in the promo pics, where the GP01 and the GP02 is actually clashing beam sabers. So the way how this works is that, first of all, as in the box, it will come like kind of in a pack where you need to separate it like this. The way how this works is there's these 2, you may not be able to see it, but there's these holes and pegs going on here. All you need to do is just attach them, and then attach them together, and then there's going to be 2 holes here. Number 1, the first hole will be you attach the first beam saber, and then the other one as well, and then makes this cross section, and this looks amazing. Now, once again, this effect part seems to be mostly meant for these type of beam sabers, because I did take a picture with another figure using a typical beam saber effect part, and well, depending on how you look at it, it still works, but not as good as these beam effect parts. So you can see we have a more wider cross X section, but if you don't like that, what you can do is you can also put it onto the other side and make a more smaller cross X section, and this looks amazing. Also, just be careful with this effect part, because these parts can be very sharp and they actually do hurt, so keep that in mind. Alright, so we're done with the components. Now we'll go with the articulation, so I'll be right back. Okay, we'll start with articulation, so let's start with the head. I gotta mention that they did an excellent job in terms of the sculpt and then painting the areas, because for the cameras, they're not really clear parts, but they use like these green metallic paint, and I say they did a pretty good job. So the antenna on the top does move a little bit, but not in the safe way, so just be careful that you don't break it. And I believe from out of the box, it may seem in a pretty awkward position like this, so try to like reposition if you want to do so. So the head moves pretty well. It can go down that much, and then up that much. Well, then again, not as good. Okay, there we go. Pretty good, and then again, you see that white block over there in the inside, but it doesn't matter. Then, oops. 360 twist is technically possible, but the head is very stiff, and with those fragile V-fin and antennas, it could get tricky. Okay, and then let's get the backpack. Now the backpack does have some articulation, because up to this point most of the backpacks were just there, but this one actually can move a little bit like this. And then the thrusters do move a little bit up and down, and then yeah, technically I think they're more on a ball joint, which is why we can have more movements like this. And then the beam sabers, now they come on the box separate pieces, as I mentioned, like that, but these also have some articulation, so it can go down that much, up that much, and then it can move forward and backward if you want to do so. I don't think it goes to more than this. I could be wrong, but I'm not going to force anything at this point. So this does actually help you do the beam saber slashing pose, or trying to reach from the back pose in various ways. So very nice detail going on there. And then more camera effect parts. Green color, and then they did an excellent job with the 01 on the shoulder. This is not a sticker or decal, this is just how it comes as it is, and it does not seem it's engraved, so yeah, definitely just paint it on there. And then the body, they did a pretty good job with the V symbol here, the small camera, the details, excellent paint job. And then the shoulders, instead of having the typical ball joint where like how an HG kit would have, a modern HG kit, the shoulder itself moved entirely like this with the body. So yeah, this does actually help a lot of poses, and I guess this makes it look more anime proportion-ish. So yeah. And then the arms itself are pretty good, so they can move to the side 90 degrees or a little bit more depending on how you do it, because of that extra movement going on. And as you can see, the arm is actually on a ball joint. And then the arm can twist 360 on its own. Of course, the shoulder armor may get in the way because of what you just saw. Has a nice double jointed bend going on there. Oops. And the hands are your typical Robot Damashii hands, which means that the ball joint is on the arm, not on the hand like an HG kit. Alright, and then arm itself can go 360 if you want to do so. And then they got even the small details going on well, and here we have the shield connectors for each arm. Alright, now let's get the waist section. Now the part that I do like about the GP01 is that the front skirt is not big, like not long as where it pretty much covers up the entire side, but only this edge part, which I guess would protect the main connectors of the leg, so like the side swivel area. These are individual separate pieces, so they can move front this much. Side skirts also move a little bit, but not as much, but has in a ball joint, you can move a little bit like this. Back skirt, it does actually move like that, and they are also individual separate pieces, but it reveals I'm not sure what they call this, screw, but yeah. And then they're also on ball joints, and also on the back skirt as well. Oh great, nothing's broken, just there. You can open this section up and reveal this hole, which I assume it's either number 1 for an action base. Number 2 is that you can borrow a bazooka and a bazooka connector and then attach it to the back skirt if you want to do so. This kit does not come with a bazooka, and I forgot to show you guys the ab crunch. It has an excellent ab crunch going on. as you can see. And then 360 twist on the body, and mine does not work that well, so it doesn't really move that much. But keep that in mind. Keep in mind, I believe this mobile suit, the GP01 and the GP03 actually uses a core fighter inside, so which is why I guess having not much movement on the main body may make sense. And it's very stiff. You can hear that rubber noise. Oh boy. Okay, now let's get the legs. Now the legs are pretty interesting. So first of all, this thing has the gimmick where the old SHF figure arts have you can pull it down like this, but not in the sense of an SHF. This is more on a swivel area, so you can see like that. And then it still has a nice side swivel going on, but also since the main leg is connected to a ball joint, you can see the side also kind of moves with the connector. So yeah, go figure. And then the legs, actually I should have not done that. And then the legs can go 90 degrees up to the front, has a nice double jointed bend, and then can go to the side almost not 90 degrees because of the way how the joints are connected actually. Okay, and then the feet are very stiff. They can move up and down a little bit, and then you have a nice feet fold, and then you have a nice toe bend. But the ankle joints or pivot, not so great. I don't know what's exactly blocking it, but the pivot isn't that great. And then the ankle armor are on a ball joint, which are connected to this side only. Kind of pops out a little bit easy, so which is why you might see the figure's ankle armor like wobbling a little bit time to time. So you can see this one's actually still connected, but now it's a little bit better. But you just saw that, yeah, it's just that easy to take it off. So just be careful of that part. Okay, I think we've seen all the articulation. Now let's go with some accessories. So I'll be right back. Okay, so here we have the first set of equipment. So we have the beam rifle, the machine gun, and the shield on the back. So you can see the beam rifle, the beam shot effect part does a really great job in doing that natural beam shooting effect, and really love it. Of course, it may make the weapon a little bit heavy or front heavy because of this, but it doesn't really matter at this point. Now, as I mentioned, this is the long one. Okay, that was the long one, and you can see because of the not so great ankle joints or pivot, whatever they call it these days, it may be tricky doing certain poses because I don't know. Maybe mine could be just really stiff to the point where it's not moving, but I really hope it's not the figure problem itself. So as I mentioned, if you think this is just too big, you can still use the small effect part like this. And it works pretty well. And actually, let's see if I can use the effect part on this one as well. So it's the same principle, and it seems like, yeah, there is enough peg length to use it. Yeah, but not the best connection, but it still works. So if you think that was too long, you can always use the shorter version if you want to do so. And the way how the weapons connect to the hand is the typical Robot Damashii way, where you gotta just jam it in there. Of course, the beam rifle was actually pretty easy. This one you can just slide it in, and it worked pretty well. The machine gun, not so much. You gotta really jam it in there because of the trigger finger, because the trigger is actually, inside there. And then the shield connector is pretty well. It's connected, of course, because of the handle. You might really need to put it in the correct position, and it doesn't really matter if you can open up or close down the shield. It still works very well. Okay, so let's go with some other equipment. So I'll be right back. Okay, here we have the beam bayonet effect part. So you can see this is not the best pose, but because when you think about the beam bayonet, I'm not really sure when you're supposed to use it, but you can see it's attached to the beam rifle, and it's like trying. I guess I would assume like if you have no time to bring out your beam saber, you would use it in emergency like this. Now I remember the full burn using it like a few times, but yeah, I'm not sure when would you be using it in ground. So here we have the Jim Ver anime with it, and you can see. This is the typical Ver anime style beam saber, and here we have the new version. So you can see there's been a lot of changes, and you can see it's a bit fat on the middle part, which actually does bring out a problem later, which I will mention here. But yeah, so I'm not really sure how to really need to pose with the beam bayonet. So I would assume that it will only work when it's actually in between those beams, or like it's going up down from up. But yeah, I mean, it's really nice they did actually mention this, because I don't really remember seeing that part in the promo pictures. Okay, so we're done with the beam bayonet. Let's see what else we got to show you guys. Alright, here we have more effect parts. Currently I'm trying to go with the, like, it's slashing through its enemy and then trying to get out its second beam saber from its hand. Currently I have an action base at the moment. You can see the action base, you can actually connect the action base to the bottom section, which is basically the, the typical crotch area, if you want to do so. So currently we're using, yeah, I think we should take this out at this moment. So we're currently using the bent beam saber effect part. So the first is the bent and beam effect part, and then it works very well. Really do like the really effect. I mean, it really gives out more opportunities to do more slashing poses, because with my I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but with HG kits, I always had problem with doing certain poses with beam sabers because, it's really hard to get that slash effect feeling. But this one does a really good job on it. And you can see I'm currently having, I have the other hand onto the second beam saber, and then I have stored the beam saber, beam rifle onto the backpack, and still using the thruster effect parts, and still it does not look bad at all. I really love how they went through with this figure. Okay, so I think we're almost done with the effect parts. The only ones that's left is actually the main finale. So I'll be right back with the with this effect part and show you guys, like, the main problem using this was the old style beam saber effect parts. Okay, here we finally have that beam saber clashing effect part. Currently, I lent the Jimver anime the GP01's beam saber effect part, because since we get two of them, I'm currently using it and it works fantastic. You can see, like, I really love that spark effect. I mean, granted, Bandai has always sold, like, effect parts for this and that, but I think this is the first time seeing, or at least me seeing, a beam saber clashing effect parts, because this is one of those things I really wanted to do with some type of product, because in pretty much any or every Gundam anime, we will have at least one beam saber clashing scene, and I always wanted to try that with some figure or model kit, but we never got this kind of type of stuff. And yeah, we finally got one, and this looks amazing. I really love how this works. I'm currently using the Jimver anime, which is not the best example, but this thing has become my guinea pig for a lot of stuff. In terms of a lot of, like, quick picturing and practicing. You just guys don't see that on me on Facebook or on the videos. So currently it works fantastic. Well, I'm currently doing a more linear version. If you want to do so, you can change the position and make it more wider if you want to do so. But here's the thing with the old beam saber effect parts. Obviously, the older ones look more bland compared to the the new ones. But so I'm gonna take this part off. Hopefully, this doesn't fall to the front, because this thing does make things a little bit front heavy. So yeah. So yeah. So with the limited pivot on the GP01, it does get tricky. So I'm gonna take the beam saber out. Currently, I'm using the long beam saber hilt, which is actually meant for two-hand poses, according to friends. So here we have, oops, that's not a good position. Okay, so here we have the more traditional one, and you can see it's a wider on the middle section, so it's a bit fat on the middle, which I'm not really sure I'm not sure how that works. So currently, if you just slide it in there, you can see it's only going up to the top section. So you need to force your way through in like this. Which does actually work. Problem is, there is a chance if you keep doing this if you like kind of go overboard, then this effect part may like detach to each other. So you can see there's already the effect part is already like trying to detach to each other. So the best way I can say this is that this effect part was not really meant for the old style. I mean, you can still use two old style beam saber effect parts, but the only problem is that it would just be a little bit onto the end tip here, not like in the middle section right over here. So I say it's not impossible, but it's just going to somehow affect the effect part. So just be careful with that. So I'm just gonna reattach this, and here we go. And I'm not even gonna force it. It just goes in like that. So that is very nice. And I've also noticed, like, the thruster effect parts. Here's the Jimver anime versions, which is just pretty much blue and bland. And then we have the new ones, which, yeah, so I guess there were like two versions of this. I believe the Alex for anime may have came with this one, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I just want to mention that there are two types of these thrusters. Okay, so there's actually one more thing I need to show you guys, so yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, so finally here we have like the last comparison. I do not own the real grade Gundam GP01, and I've seen your comments on my yesterday's video. I am freaking aware that the real grade will be obviously better than the high grade. You guys who commented that obviously didn't really watch my video or listen to what I said, so you guys are not really getting the point. But here it is with the Robot Damashii and the HUC. This one's the Robot Damashii, and this one's the HUC. If you didn't notice, so you can see, like, yeah, it doesn't look half bad when you just look at it. Of course, the real grade, I mean, obviously the Robot Damashii has the more anime-esque proportions, while the HUC version has a more, you know, the typical the way how the HUC or model kits go with a more mechanical look into it. So there are some differences, but yeah, you can see what the obviously this is what. Obviously, the Robot Damashii is much more better, and obviously the real grade will be better because this is a very old HUC kit. It's HUC number 13, people. What do you expect? But yeah, so obviously if you're a really big fan, and then if you're not really satisfied with the HUC, or if you can't just wait until a Master Grade 2.0 or an HUC revive happen, and if you don't like RG like me, this is your answer. The Robot Damashii is definitely much more playable. Has so much effect parts. There's more like posability than you think, and there's like so much stuff you just gotta try. And then yeah, and I really can't wait for the GP02 to arrive. And then I really hope they make a GP03 and the GP01 full burn in Robot Damashii form. Anyway, so that was the full review of the Robot Damashii vs. Anime of the Gundam GP01. If you guys, I really hope you guys also like this figure as I do, because from seeing the Gundam Alex vs. Anime from this, it's like a whole different level, at least for me. So you can say that it's like a whole new beast on its own. So it makes you wonder, like, in what would future Robot Damashii vs. Anime figures would be like at this point. I'd be amazed if they actually make a Gundam Mark II vs. Anime or Zeta Gundam vs. Anime at this point. That would be mind-blowing. Anyway, so thank you for watching the review. This was the Robot Damashii Gundam GP01 vs. Anime review. If you guys got any questions or requests, you can comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time!